It's not even October and I'm already talking about a subject I'm not comfortable with. Hello everyone and welcome back to the SLP Peep. I am Janelle, an SLP, and today we are going to be talking about screeners. Are these only meant for hospitals? No, they could be used in other facilities, but they tend to be more medical facilities than a pediatric outpatient clinic that, somebody may or may not be working at this time. Here on this channel, we talk about all things speech language pathologists, whether it is part of the ASHA Big 9, i.e. the scope of practice SLPs work on here in the United States of America, or we talk about how to get into grad school, how to get out, how to actually get a license, and everything else that is pretty much in the realm of SLPs. Some of this stuff is generalizable, if that's even a word, which is great for so many people. But if you are interested in this content, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and let's move on. Screeners. And I'm not talking about a screen that you put in the window or a door that prevents bugs from coming in the house. I'm talking about something to just check. Not even to diagnose, but to check to see if there's a problem somewhere. Now, screeners come in so many different shapes, varieties, and everything else. So how do we know if a screener is a good one or a bad one? Is there even such thing as a bad screener? So there are a few different types of screeners. Not only are there screeners that screen, i.e. check, for different parts of the ASHA Big 9, but there are also screeners that are more standardized or more normalized. Normative. Screeners with numbers that have been checked throughout a whole bunch of people, so they can actually give you a very good ballpark of what's concerning, what's not concerning. And there are even homemade screeners as well. What do I mean about homemade? Well, I'll get to that in a moment. Now, as I mentioned before, screeners basically give us an understanding of, is there a problem? Is there not a problem? There could potentially be a problem. Yes. Good screeners tell us these things. There could be screeners about cognition, about articulation. I've done plenty of those. There are screeners about swallowing disorders or dysphagia. There may be even quick screeners about all of the ASHA Big 9. ASHA Big 9, again, being AAC, oral rehabilitation, articulation, cognition, dysphagia, fluency, language, pragmatics, voice. Am I missing one? Because I don't remember. The reason why I do not say that there are screeners for all of these 9 areas is because I don't know if there actually is. There are some parts of the ASHA Big 9 where a screener is just you listening. And also there may be harder things to screen, such as language, in which there is so much covered in language that it just might be easier to do a full assessment than to just go, there might be something going on here. Now, as mentioned before, there are more standardized, more normalized, normative screeners, which basically means a big company gives these out, and either you pay for one copy or you pay to continually use these screeners, or they may be a little bit more homemade. Some screeners that I'm thinking of that have the big name labels to them are articulation screener from the PLS-5 or the Preschool Language Scales 5th edition. I'm trying to think if there's even a articulation screener on the SELF, but I don't remember at this time off the top of my head. Another one is also the MOCA, otherwise known as the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, which is technically a screener, not an assessment, but it gives you a lot of good detail and information from it. And also the 3-ounce water screener, otherwise known as the Yale Swallow screener, which is kind of a fun one, a quick one, but I would totally fail it because I cannot do 3 ounces in one swallow, or 2 swallows very well. So those are some of the big name screeners that are out there. But what about these homemade assessments? Who even accepts them? Well, a lot of companies accept these as long as you follow up, if needed, with an assessment. Let me give an example right now. In graduate school, I was part of a specialized group study project. So from there, I actually made a screener for me and my little group that we can actually go to a community center. It also gave us an idea of how can we create a screener that we can hand to a nurse, a CNA, anyone, if we so choose to go into the medical path. Now, I made that in grad school. It was very, very basic. If I presented that screener to the director of rehab at a hospital, would they accept it? Most likely not right away. It would have to be refined, tuned up, changed a little bit, but it gives us the understanding of where a person is at. If they have a lot of red flags, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe then we could go into an assessment. So what is the main difference between a screener and an assessment? There is more weight and trust put into an assessment than there is a screener. Another key fact about screeners that must be considered is the fact that they're screeners and anyone can administer these. That's right. A screener is not necessarily only for speech-language pathologists, especially when it's part of the ASHA Big 9, but anyone with correct training can also give these. Why is this? Screeners are meant for anyone to screen to see if they need further assessment throughout a specialist. And yes, speech-language pathologists were considered a specialist. Do I need to bring up the ASHA Big 9 again? Is it best if someone that's in that specialty gives a screener? Yes and no. Sometimes the specialist is very busy and they just need to know the bare information. And so it does relieve some of the time constraints on the specialist, but at the same time, the specialist is also not there to see what exactly is going on. So screeners are wonderful. They have to originally start at some point, which may mean they start as a homemade screener and then they just get traction, or there was actually a lot of times when they're just so easy to use that they become mainstream. Are screeners the ending point? No. But they serve as a good beginning point to show that we do need to progress on. I feel like this was a quick rundown about what screeners are. I hope you learned something today. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below. For the question of the day, have you ever had to create your own screener for anything? As I mentioned, I made a few of them in grad school because they were part of assignments, but also so we can get a further understanding about red flags and what to look for. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a terrific day. Please remember to like and subscribe if you are interested in this sort of content, and until next time, bye-bye.